And now to this one. Two more law firms have now filed a suit against President Trump, while another is striking a deal. On Friday, two federal judges who were both appointed by Republican President George W. Bush partially blocked the executive orders against the firms Jenner and Block and Wilmer Hale. The president sought to penalize those firms for taking up cases that go against his agenda and employing attorneys who worked on criminal investigations into Trump. The judges called the orders troubling and retaliatory. Perkins Coie was the first firm to sue the administration earlier this month. A judge temporarily blocked that order, calling the president's actions chilling. Meanwhile, the firm Paul Weiss took a different path, having its order dropped after agreeing to provide $40 million worth of legal services for the White House. Another firm, Skadden, followed suit last week, striking a deal with the White House in order to avoid an executive order. The White House announced that agreement on Friday, in which the firm will provide $100 million in pro bono legal services for the Trump administration. Ken Dilanian, what is your latest reporting on this story? And I wouldn't mind hearing some analysis as well.
Yeah, Mika, this may be one of those things that isn't breaking through because we're talking about big law. We're talking about law partners that make millions of dollars a year, not exactly the things that regular Americans care about. But this is an enormous thing that's happening in the legal profession and in the justice world. And it is really roiling the people that I'm talking to. They're very concerned about it because they say that these orders, these executive orders that Donald Trump are issuing are patently illegal, discriminatory, unconstitutional. Two judges, as you said on Friday, have essentially ruled that way. And yet of the 5 law firms that have been targeted, as you said, 2 have settled. 2 have decided to pay some money and do some pro bono work that Donald Trump wants them to do and to make statements about DEI and other things. And that has sparked resignations at both firms because people view that as capitulating to Donald Trump. And as you said, the reason he's doing this is, in the case of Wilmer Hale, for example, one of the firms that is suing, it's because that was Robert Mueller's old firm, and one of his top aides, Aaron Zebley, is a partner there. So, look, this is the kind of thing we're seeing with this administration. They are pushing as far as they can, and whether they get slapped back by the federal courts is almost immaterial because the message that's sent is unmistakable. It's chilling law firms across the United States. And in fact, what these orders would do to these firms is essentially they would take security clearances away from some of the top lawyers. It would bar them from federal buildings. So they represent some of the major federal contractors who are calling them up and saying, wait a second, I don't know if we can continue with you because we don't know if we can bring you into a federal building. That is existential for these major law firms, and it's clearly retaliatory, and the courts are now dealing with it. But, you know, some of these firms are choosing to capitulate, Mika.
All right, NBC's Ken Dilanian, thank you so much. Anne Applebaum, I'd love to wrap up with you there and how this plays into what you're writing about and also why it should matter to the regular American citizen who believes he or she is living in a democracy.
So if you think that ordinary Americans or any Americans have the right to a lawyer and that lawyers should be able to serve you regardless of what the president says or what any other politician says, then you should be concerned about this. What Trump has done by assaulting law firms is an assault on something very basic. It's the rule of law. It's the right of people to be represented. All of those things are under threat if this push towards authoritarianism isn't stopped.